Let's implement some image management in our GraphQL application. And the first step in order to achieve that is to add a new column to our user model, and that's going to be a photo which will have a data type of string. And I'm not going to do any validation to it because this can be empty, so I'm just going to add that and leave it as is. The next thing that we'll need to do is go ahead and open the type definition for the user. And what I'm going to do is add a photo field to the user type, and this should return us a string. And I'm not making any of this non-nullable because there could be situations when a user does not have a photo, so that's a perfectly valid scenario. And in fact, none of our users at the moment have any images. So there's going to be two things that we will need to do. The first one is to make sure that we upload the image. Now let's think about it before we start to code. How we want to achieve this upload. We want to make sure that someone is actually logged in, and if that user is logged in, we would then upload the image that they want to upload to Cloudinary, and then we need to also update the entry in the database for that user. So we need to make sure that the photo column that we just added to the model gets updated with the image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new mutation, and I'm going to call that upload image, and I will pass in an argument of a file name which is going to be required, and this should at all times return a string. So let's save this, and now we can take a look at the actual resolver function. So let's open the resolver for user, and before we write any code, we need to make sure that we install the Cloudinary Node.js SDK, which you can do by executing npm i and then Cloudinary. Now, when we want to use Cloudinary, we also need to set up a few environment variables. But we don't need to set them up as environment variables, but we're going to do that. So, of course, if you want to use the Cloudinary SDK and you want to use your media library that you saw in the previous video, you need to somehow connect to it. And Cloudinary requires you to pass in three things: your cloud name, or your account name, your API key, and an API secret. Now, where do you find this? So if you go back to the Cloudinary dashboard, you see that it's right here: cloud name, API key, and API secret. If you click here, then that's going to be revealed, so you can actually copy that into your application. Okay, so I'm going to fill out these two details and then save this file. Then come back to the user resolver, bring in the Cloudinary as a dependency, and configure it. And that is done by typing in cloudinary.config, and then this accepts a configuration object where we need to pass in the cloud name, which we can now access via the environment variable of cloud_name, and it needs an API key, and it needs the API secret as well. And those are also available via the environment variables. Okay, so that's done. So what we need to do is, of course, create a function in the resolver's map. So let's find a place for this. So that's a register, that's login. So it's one of the mutations. So right here, I'm going to add the function uploading an image. And we'll have access to the parent. We'll extract the file name, and we will pass in models as well as me. Remember, we want to make sure that the user is registered. So if they are not registered and they are not authenticated, then they won't be authorized. So we're going to throw a new error and say not authenticated. Otherwise, we will do some work. Now, just to keep things simple, what I've done, I created an uploads folder that now has two images in it, a businessman JPEG and a businesswoman JPEG, right? So that's the guy here and that's the lady. So what we're going to do, we're going to reference these images, and you have to imagine that we have a form where we allow the person to enter their name, select an image and upload that image to Node.js. Okay, and we're just going to mimic that the upload location is in our root folder and the folder is called uploads. So let's grab the file name and recreate the path to be /uploads and then / the actual file name. So I'm just updating the file name to have the entire path to where this file is located. Now we need to find the actual location, and I can't just do __ directory name because I am in the resolvers folder. So I need to cheat a little bit. So I'm going to say path equals require path. I'm going to require the path. I'm going to create this variable and say path.directory name require.main.file name. So I'm going to get the directory of the main file that I execute. So essentially I'm going to get the root folder where I'm executing app.js from. Okay, so this is just for test. So I can now type in main there and that should be fine. So basically file name is going to be the name of the file that we want to upload, and then we're going to tell GraphQL to come and look in the uploads folder followed by the actual name of the file that we pass into it. Okay, so that's what we are trying to achieve here. And then we will actually do the file upload. So Cloudinary's Node.js SDK is promise based, so we can type in async there to make this function asynchronous, and we can say photo await. And the way we upload images to Cloudinary is that we type in cloudinary.version2.uploader.upload, and we need the full path to the file that we want to upload. So this one line that we see here is going to upload our image to the Cloudinary media library to the cloud. Okay, so let's assume that that worked, and now we can actually wrap this in a try-catch block and we can do additional things. So what do we want to do? Well, let's write the catch statement here. So if there's an error, we want to throw a new error with the error message. But what else do we want to do? So we want to update the user with the file name for the photo property. So let's do another await in here and do models.user.update. And first we need to specify what we want to update. So we want to update the photo property, and we'll see what we will update it with. And in fact, let's just do a test. Let's just do console.log photo for a moment. Let's just see if this works. So let's start up the application. Okay, so we have the server running. So let's remember this file name here. Let me actually double click this and try to copy the name of the file. So that's the file that we want to upload. So let's open up our playground. Let's refresh it and let's do a mutation. Oh no, first we need to actually log in. and get the token. So now we have the token here. We can add the HTTP header. So that's X auth token with this value. And we can write another mutation, which is going to be uploading the image. That requires a file name, and our file name is going to be this right here. Okay, so let's go back to the console, and what we have here is the information returned from Cloudinary's SDK. So we got some metadata about the image, so the original width and height, the format, whether it was an image or a video, tags, bytes, upload, e-tags, and then the access URLs as well, and a secure URL, and then the original file name. It also got a public ID. So the public ID is how Cloudinary is then going to reference this image going forwards. So this image will have this weird looking name with a JPEG extension. So what we should update our user model with is the photo.public ID followed by a dot, followed by the photo.format. So essentially we're concatenating the public ID and the format together. Okay, so we update the user model with this photo, but we need to find which user we want to update. So we add the where statement and we say where username, and we're very lucky because we have the me from the context, and we can find the username of the currently logged in user, because if we are not logged in and not authenticated, our code stops here. So we can safely then, this part of the code, do the update for that one single user. And then let's return something. So we need to return a string. So let's just return the actual concatenated image name. Okay, so let's run this again. Go back to the playground and let's hit run again. And look at this. Now we have the upload image and with this public ID and the JPEG extension. And now if I open my media library, I get two images, of course, so we can actually delete this one because that was the first that we've done. And then we get this image right here, uploaded, marked with new. And there's nothing more to it. That's it. That's all what we needed to upload an image to Cloudinary. And just to see and verify one more thing, let's open the console and let's do a select star from users via the MySQL CLI. And in fact, if you take a look at the first row here, we do have the photo updated for this user that now references this public ID from Cloudinary. So in the next video, we will see how to actually deliver this image and how to build up the URL for this image.